Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Roman Reigns is set to return soon to the company, per reports, but as it turns out, he may not be able to stick around for too long. The star has been absent for a long time already. The star is now working a part-time schedule, with very few appearances this year. Reigns has been absent for a while now, but earlier reports indicated that he would finally return to prepare for SummerSlam. The star is supposed to perform at the first ever two-night edition of the event. However, the star has now been cast in the Street Fighter movie as Akuma. As a result, wrestling fans are in for only bad news. The report by The Hollywood Reporter revealed that production on the film would begin in August in Australia. Given that the project is in Australia and the commitment needed for filming such movies, Roman Reigns will likely need to make himself available there. Traveling back and forth for shows will also prove very difficult, if not impossible. Thus, immediately after returning to WWE for SummerSlam, he will likely need to leave again to film Street Fighter. Liv Morgan was recently cast in a movie and needed time off to fulfill her commitments before returning to WWE. It seems that immediately after returning at SummerSlam, the same will be happening for Roman Reigns. When the opening notes of The Truth Reigns echoed through the arena, the WWE Universe erupted as if they'd been waiting a lifetime. In many ways, they had. Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, the head of the table, the man who dominated SmackDown for nearly 4 years, was finally back under the bright lights. After months away, recovering, rethinking, rebuilding, he was home. Fans packed the seats from ringside to the rafters, holding signs that read "Welcome back Tribal Chief, acknowledge him, and Bloodline forever." Cameras panned across a sea of outstretched arms, cell phones raised to capture the return of the longest reigning Universal Champion in the modern era. Michael Cole's voice cracked over commentary, "Roman Reigns is back. And business has just picked up." Roman stepped through the smoke, wearing his trademark black vest, the gold lace draped around his neck, eyes locked on the ring like a predator. But behind the stoic expression, those closest to him knew this wasn't just another night, it was the first step toward reclaiming everything that was his. Or so he thought. As he stood in the ring, microphone in hand, the cheers turned to silence at the raise of his finger. He didn't need to say a word, his presence commanded attention. Finally, he spoke. "I told you. The Bloodline runs WWE. I told you. This is my island. And I'm back to take back what's mine." The crowd roared again, but in the back, behind the black curtains of the gorilla position, the seeds of Roman's immediate heartbreak were already sprouting. While Roman had been away, things had changed. Solo Sikoa, the silent enforcer, had found his voice. He'd gathered the remaining loyalists, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and a handful of new warriors, hardened and hungry. The bloodline had evolved, and without Roman to steer the ship, Solo had taken the wheel. Paul Heyman, the ever-faithful Wiseman, watched on a monitor with worry etched across his face. He knew what was coming, but he also knew that no man, not even the Tribal Chief, could stop this freight train once it hit the tracks. Roman was still speaking, telling the WWE Universe how he'd rebuilt the table they all feasted on. He raised his title, no longer the undisputed Universal Championship, but a symbol of the dynasty he'd crafted. And then, boom, Solo's music hit. A hush fell. The audience turned to the stage where Solo emerged, arms crossed, flanked by Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. No smiles. No welcome back hugs. Just cold, quiet defiance. Roman lowered his mic. A flicker of disbelief crossed his eyes, but he hid it well, too many people watching. Solo climbed the steel steps and stepped into the ring, nose to nose with Roman. For a heartbeat, time seemed frozen. Two brothers, two paths, one family ready to break. "Roman," Solo began, voice deep, menacing. "You think you run the bloodline?" Roman's eyebrow arched. "Acknowledge me." Solo didn't flinch. "I did. For years. While you sat at home, licking your wounds, we kept this family alive. We didn't just survive, we grew stronger." Roman laughed. It was cold, dismissive. "You think you're me? You think you can be the Tribal Chief?" Solo didn't answer with words. He answered with a sudden, devastating Samoan spike to Roman's throat that dropped him to his knees. The arena gasped in horror. The Wiseman clutched his head backstage. Commentary erupted in chaos. Before Roman could recover, Jacob Fatu pounced like a wolf, smashing him with a running hip attack that slammed the head of the table into the corner. Tama Tonga lifted him for a punishing gun stun, planting him face first onto the mat. The mighty Roman Reigns, the once untouchable tribal chief, lay gasping for air under the feet of his own bloodline. The fans didn't know how to react, some booed, some chanted "Solo! Solo!" while others stood in stunned silence. This wasn't supposed to happen. Roman's return was meant to restore order, reunite the family, crush whoever opposed them. Instead, he'd stepped back into an empire that had learned to thrive without him. Solo leaned down, his hand gripping Roman's face, forcing him to look up. "This is our table now," he growled. "You either eat what we serve, or you starve." He spat the last words as Jacob threw up the one-finger salute, "We the ones," but this time, it wasn't Roman's finger that led the tribe. It was Solo's. Officials and security stormed the ring, but the damage was done. Solo, Jacob, and Tama backed away, slipping through the ropes while Roman writhed on the mat. Paul Heyman hurried down the ramp, torn between loyalty and survival. He knelt beside Roman, whispering frantic apologies that only Roman could hear. The bloodline stood tall at the ramp, holding up the new symbol of power. Solo's crimson lay draped over his shoulder, a clear message that the throne had shifted. Roman's kingdom had become a battlefield, and the king had returned to find his crown already claimed. In the following days, WWE.com would be flooded with speculation. Was Roman still the tribal chief? Would Heyman betray him for Solo's protection? Could the Usos return to pick a side? Was The Rock watching, waiting to reclaim the family honor himself? Backstage, Roman's pride hurt worse than the bruises. He'd survived leukemia, conquered Brock Lesnar, humbled legends and built an empire brick by brick. But this betrayal cut deeper than any spear or Superman punch ever could. His own blood had become the wolves at his door. Yet if there's one thing the WWE Universe knew, it was this: Roman Reigns does not stay down for long. As the show faded to black, Roman forced himself to his feet, leaning on the ropes. His eyes locked on the ramp where Solo stood, head held high. Roman spat out blood, wiped his mouth, and whispered to himself, "If they want war, they'll get war." The tribal chief's return had suffered a massive blow, but a wounded Roman Reigns was often the most dangerous of all. The island of relevancy was up for grabs, and the next chapter of the Bloodline saga promised to be the most ruthless yet.